Good morning and welcome to the Pondering Show here on WKUR, your country road. I'm your host, Doug Ponder, and I'm coming to you live here at the Don Franklin Chevy Buick GMC studios here in Renfro Valley. Now, I usually begin the show with an opening joke segment. And now, for those of you who know me well, you know I'm a fanatic of jokes. I love jokes and humor and all forms of comedy. I love it, and I've always listened to it since I was a little kid. And I believe this world would be dull and boring without comedy in it. But with all the color that comedy brings to many of our lives, this past week it brought death. And this Wednesday in Paris, France, several people at a satirical newspaper called Charlie Hebdo lost their lives because of their comedy. They lost their lives because their killers didn't like their cartoons. Now, satire is a form of comedy. And it's one of the forms that some people laugh at the most, and it's also one of the forms that some people get upset about the most. And I've also written and said my fair share of satire and political satire jokes on this show. But I've learned firsthand why satire is one of the most controversial forms of comedy. And it's not going to stop me from using satire in my jokes, and it sure didn't stop the staff at Charlie Hebdo either. Now, satire is legal, satire is not libel or slander, and people have the right to use satire as a form of comedy. And it's wrong and against the law for people to be censored because they're satirical jokes, and it's definitely wrong for someone to be killed over them. Now, I'm not going to go into all the details of this because I'm actually planning a future show about this very topic, and I'll probably take the whole show to discuss this anyway, but I just wanted to say this because my thoughts and prayers go out to all the employees at Charlie Hebdo and lost their lives, as well as the police officers and others that were killed in this senseless act too. And I join a lot of other people in saying that comedy shouldn't have to be an act of heroism. Comedy should just be comedy. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Pondering Show here on WKUR 94.9, your country road. We are joining you live here at the Don Franklin Chevy Buick GMC studios in Renfro Valley. Now, our guest this morning is from not necessarily a drug rehabilitation center, but a discipleship-based program called Chad's Hope in Manchester. James Allen Bradley, welcome to the show, and thanks for coming in.
Thank you, Doug. Good to be with you.
Oh, it's good to be with you. And real quick, we're just going to touch real quick, and I want to mention this too. The director, Wendell, he had a funeral that come up, and obviously that's far more important than what we're doing, and he needs to be there for the families and the one that they lost too. So, but we're planning a future show that he'll come in and join us too, and we'll talk about a little bit more about Chad's Hope and some other issues too. But let's touch on, some people probably don't know, but I know a lot of people know because of the work you've done, what Chad's Hope is, and it's not really it's for men, but it's not a halfway house or clinic or something like that. But what is this, real quick, to touch on what is Chad's Hope?
Well, it's just a 9 to 12 month residential program. Guys come there 18 and up, come there and live 9 to 12 months, and it's actually we call ourselves a discipleship program.
That's great. Which that means, and you've told me this, a lot of times you don't even talk about addictions or drugs.
We'd never talk about drugs.
Yeah.
No.
And that's good because how do y'all look at it? It's like you're filling a void.
Well, we kind of feel like that's what Teen Challenge teaches, that we're all built with a void, and unfortunately we try to, and me included, we try to fill that void with drugs, alcohol, gambling, whatever, and we just feel that the only way to fill that void is developing that relationship with the Lord.
That's right. And that's the difference between these other drug rehabilitation centers. That's how you help people fight their addictions too. And it's so ironic that you don't even talk about it. I remember when you first told me that, I was just so ironic, but it works. And you all have had a high success rate because of that, a lot higher than a lot of other places, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it was maybe 85% or something, I was told, when I first went to the program.
Okay. And now, just real quick too, and like I said, this will be something that, like you said, when Wendell comes, we'll talk about it, but go over real quick how the program actually works, or like what's a typical day like?
It's a long day. We start out first thing in the morning. They have, of course, we have breakfast at 7 in the morning. We have devotion from 7:30 to about 5 minutes till 8. We do devotions every morning. Have 2 hours of class, just dealing with the personal issues, anger. A lot of people come that's been hurt and got to deal with anger, and just a lot of different. There's like 39 character qualities that we work on, and do that for a couple hours. Then we have a little break. We actually have another class, a group class for an hour. Go to lunch. Then we have guys go get ready. We have a 4-hour work detail and just do all. We do the basic house. Anything from we clean. Of course, obviously we keep the place clean, but the guys go out, weed eat, mow. Of course, in the winter we they do the cutting firewood and doing all that. But they also go out and help. We help with. There's a center over in Manchester for young ladies that teen pregnancies, and we go over and we help mow and paint and help those folks out. And so there's just a lot of different projects the guys do. Then come back in, have supper around 5 to 5:30. Then do some more cleaning, some more chores. So we do plenty of chores.
Stay busy.
They stay busy.
Yeah.
Then we actually have study hall from 7 to 8 o'clock, working on some of the stuff that we went over that day in class. They do that for an hour. Then we have another 30 minutes of prayer time.
Yep.
And want to end the night off on a good note, so we have prayer from 8 to 8:30. Then just pass out some meds, and it's free time.
Well, that's great, and you all you become real close. It's like a brotherhood.
Oh yeah. Become one big family.
Yeah.
We fight and feud sometimes,
just like families.
Just like family. That's right.
But you still love each other. That's what happens. Yeah. Now, how? And in case somebody's out there right now listening, how can somebody learn more about Chad's Hope, or can they contact you through Facebook or somewhere?
Absolutely. I'm of course on Facebook, but we got our website's chadshopky.com.
Okay. Well, good deal. And real quick too, and we'll talk more about this here after this next break, but what are some of the most frequent addiction problems that you see at Chad's Hope, and why do you think that is?
Well, we as I was telling you, we've had guys from Louisiana, we've had several from Tennessee, Indiana, Ohio. So we actually don't have a lot of guys from around this area. We got a couple, but from the guys coming from some of those cities, heroin seems to be the number one that I've saw since I've been there. And a lot of that, it just seems most every one of them started with some of the guys were into sports and knee injuries, wrist injuries, and just that one little surgery. And I know we've got young people here in Rockcastle, and that it's happening. You just got to really be careful with that pain medicine, because it starts with just a little prescription for pain medicine.
Yeah. And because that heroin problem's getting a big amount of national attention, and I know in our state they recently are trying to pass certain bills. I know all about that, but it's a big problem. And what I hear is a lot of it comes from Detroit. It's coming from the north, and it's probably some organized crime or drug dealers pushing it. And it's like I said, it comes worldwide, and those people from the northern areas and big cities and stuff, that is probably the main problem, isn't it? And that's probably why. Yeah, it's more available.
It's really prevalent in northern Kentucky.
Yes, I've heard about that too. Because I guess they're closer to the Cincinnati area and stuff. We're going to get more into that, and we're going to take another break real quick. Now, when we come back, we're going to talk about certain groups and types of people who try drugs for specific reasons other than the national peer pressure we hear about all the time. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Pondering Show here on WKUR-FM, your country road. Chad's Hope, employee James Allen Bradlin is with us in the Don Franklin Chevy Buick GMC studios in Renfro Valley. Now, we're going to switch subjects here. Now, as far as drug use, or recreational drug use as the politically correct term that they use, it's been around for a long time. Now, from a society standpoint, we've been battling it since the country was founded, pretty much. People don't realize that. They think it's just been since the 60s. That's not true. I know the opium back in the day was supposedly the meth back in the day, and it's been around since the country's been founded. So a lot of people don't realize that, and what a lot of people also don't realize is that some people try drugs for other reasons than just because they want to be cool or get high or whatever. We hear a lot of people who try drugs for, for what they think is entertainment reasons at the time, or to perform better. But we often don't hear the other side that we're going to talk about right now. So the first group I'm going to focus on is obviously athletes. Now, the steroid problem's been around for a long time, and of course when they have injuries, the pain medicines and stuff, and a lot of athletes take all these drugs, and now they have the dietary supplements, which it gets tagged with that, and it doesn't sound as harmful. But it's just as harmful, and the NCAA, NFL, and a lot of the KHSAAs banned a lot of those things. Now, what would you say to any athlete who's wanting to try some of these performance-enhancing drugs, steroids, and a lot of them, when you talk to them, they claim, well, I'm not doing meth, I'm not doing heroin, it's not as bad. What would you say to some of them?
Well, like I was telling you, Doug, I don't know a lot about that's not exactly my thing, but anything that you got to take that's not natural.
Yes.
I just don't know. There's a lot. Some of that. There's always side effects. All that stuff has side effects, and you may seem like you're gaining a little advantage, and may seem like you may be faster, you may be stronger, but what damage is it doing to your heart and your liver? And
and when you get older, you see that. And like we were talking about before we started, my mind goes to these young athletes stuff, which these organizations, they talk about the NCAA, the pro organizations, the high school organizations, they do a good job drug testing and stuff, but what we're seeing a big problem with is these dietary supplements. They're always creating new ones. It's hard to catch everything, and these things are altering their bodies. It's altering their minds, their hearts, and it increases their heart rate, and it's not natural. And anytime you have that upper, it does affect your organs and your heart and stuff. And as you get older, you can't go back and retrace that. Once the damage is done, it's done. And I know we were talking about that. I think from that standpoint, it's important for our young people to see that. Just because you do it when you're young and then you quit sports or whatever, and you can just quit and everything be fine, goaty, that's not going to happen. The damage is usually done from a health standpoint.
Yeah, that's right. And like you said, you can't reverse that.
No.
Once it's done, it's done.
Yeah, I mean, God bless the medical people and stuff, but they can only do so much. They can't perform miracles. Only one person can perform miracles. All that stuff, it's just so sad to see, but my mind can run with people right now. I'm thinking it's in that boat. And I think Unite and these groups are doing a good job showing these people that what can happen as the end result of this. And then real quick, I'm going to mention this because I've read a lot of biographies and stuff from famous musicians, especially rock and rap and all those people who try drugs to rev them up, make them perform better. And because let's all admit, if we go to a rock concert, we just see people standing on stage strumming and not moving. It's kind of dull. So the pressures of all that, of them, keeping their sponsorships, their labels, and fans and all that, they take these things to be a better entertainer. Actors do, actresses and stuff. And I'm going to share this story real quick because it popped in my mind when we were talking about this. I went to a rock concert in college, and it's one of my favorite rock bands back when I was in college, and I'm not going to name the band, but now
you was at a concert, Doug?
That's right. Yeah.
All right.
I was at the rock concert, yep.
All right.
And anyway, he come out after that struggling with drug problems. This was a year or two after I even graduated college, and I'll never forget. It's the wildest thing I ever saw. Of course, he's playing electric guitar. He's the lead singer too, and this big amplifier. And this is in Lexington. This big amplifier. He put his ear right up on that and just strummed. Like, I don't care if you got earplugs in or not. I'd say the man was deaf after that, or deaf, not deaf, but deaf after that. And, of course, from where I was sitting, it was even loud. And I was thinking, man, and I automatically knew he was doing something. But they're in such pressure. And, these musicians trying to make it and stuff, it's like we're talking about with the athletes. I know you tell them the same thing. It's not worth it, is it?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And I thought you made a good point there. I would advise people, the young people, to, what was it, the Adderall? You looked at the,
yes.
You might want to tell that, need to research that stuff and see what's in it,
Well, and me and Josh, you probably got some examples of this too. When we go to college, I'll just kind of share I know you're going to share your story. I'll share my story real quick. When I was in high school, of course, we high school students, they hear meth is bad, heroin's bad, pain pills are bad. We get that in our mind. Well, I went to college, everybody was taking this Adderall stuff, and I had good friends, and one was a preacher's son, and that was taking this, and I asked him what it was, and of course he's like, they prescribe this to people for headaches, I think's what he said, or something, or focusing. I Googled it real quick, and I knew what Ritalin was, but I was sheltered and dumb, I guess, and didn't understand all this stuff. But it actually was a big, if you study it now, it's ADHD medicine. It's got amphetamines in it, which is meth's first cousin, pretty much. And these people, colleges and stuff, they take it all the time. They call it a study drug. They take it to focus. I know one of the cons I saw on one of them is insomnia. Well, gee, that's not really a con for them because that's what they're going for. That's probably shouldn't label that. But, they take it to study, stay up, and cram for their exams, and that's their justification for it. Yes. And in the end, it does affect them and screw up their life. I've never known a person that's took that's actually ended up being okay, after they get off of it. It's got a certain point for people that need to be prescribed it, and I think these ADHD people now, they're the pharmaceutical companies are making it without the amphetamines in it, which that's a good thing. But and it'll help people that struggle with ADD, ADHD, but it's being abused a lot by college students. People are taking it like candy over there. And I think there needs to be more education with that. I don't know about you, but and it's like I said, and I know Unite's doing a good job with that. I'm seeing them mention amphetamines a lot, ADHD medicine a lot. I didn't know that when I went to college, or I was probably just didn't listen or something, but I didn't know what it was, and I was always so blessed that I didn't go down that route with it because I very easily could have. There needs to be more education with that, and it's just all kinds of stuff. We're going to get into another example that's coming on the scene that needs to be focused on more from an education standpoint. Nootropics, I think that's how you pronounce those. It's those cognitive enhancing pills that people are taking now to supposedly increases brain performance or something. Sounds very dangerous, but you can buy these off Amazon.com or anything. And I know the FDA is focusing and cracking down on it, but from an education standpoint, we need to throw all this on the table for our young people, not so they can go try it, but to tell them, hey, this is what's going to happen to you down the road if you do this. Stay away from it, stay clear of it. And just because somebody's a preacher's son, don't, if they're doing that, don't do it. I think it needs to be, and Unite's doing that. I noticed the last event I went to, they're focusing on those things a lot more.
Yeah, and I think parents need to, Nancy
it
Hale
all
and
comes
Unite.
to parents.
That's
yes.
right. Nancy and them does a great job, but they can't be in your house. Your parents are with their kids probably more than anybody, so parents need to do the research on that stuff. And
you're exactly right.
And sit down and spend time with their kids, and just try to have good talks and be close and just warn them and let them see those dangers,
Yes, and it all comes to parenting, and like you mentioned, parents, don't be afraid to Google this stuff. We got the biggest resource known to man with the internet. Google it, everything in the world will pop up about the dangers of these things, and learn them and advise your kids about this.
Yeah, you can't just ignore it. I think too many people just try to ignore it. If we just ignore it, that doesn't work.
We talked about that. What happens when you shelter people? It's not ever really good.
No, that's right. That's right.
You got to inform them so they can stay away from it. Yeah, and I think that's the best philosophy about it. And because if you show them, I think the most effective things, they show those meth posters all the time with people looking horrible. Those type of things work, those fear factor incidents. If you show somebody that's took Adderall just slumped over a desk somewhere and they drooling out their mouth or something, because that's the result they usually get, because they haven't taken it and they're trying to get off of it and they can't even wean themselves off of it. That'll have an effect, Can't function, and they can't walk. I've heard all kinds of stories about that. Like I said, to inform people. It comes with parenting too. Parents, research this before it happens, before your children go to this point, because nothing takes the place of parents. Unite does a good job. Y'all do a good job. We can all do good jobs, but when it comes to parents, nobody has a bigger influence.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Now, before we go to another break, real quick, just tell me from your heart, what advice do you have for anyone who is currently thinking about trying drugs for whatever reason it may be, to study, to perform better as an athlete, or to be a better entertainer as a musician, whatever the reason might be? What is it that you want to say to them to persuade them not to try anything?
Like I said, anything that's not natural is probably not good, and everybody's different. Every situation is different, but we're created a certain way, and that's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't have to.
Yeah.
I used to think about the steroids and all that, and I see guys lifting weights doing that. But to me, I don't know. Are you really winning? I played sports and I was really competitive, but are you from that side of it? I mean, are you? What is it? Is it really? Would it mean? To me, it wouldn't mean anything. If you had to win by cheating anyway.
Yeah. Exactly.
And to me, that's just really basically that part's cheating. But like I said, and then there's side effects. All that stuff. Like I was telling you the little story about the guy that played pool, and I mean he beat a professional pool player, and they entered. Long story short, they introduced him to cocaine, And he tried it, and he stayed up all night playing pool in a big tournament a couple nights, and thought, boy, this is the trick.
Yeah.
And then he couldn't eat, and he was sick and felt terrible. And so, and that's the result of addiction. Any of those pills, anything, the young people that you start taking, it feels good that first time. Yeah, it may feel good. But like you said, over, if it doesn't kill you, if you don't end up ODing, like you're going to look back and, like I said, there's liver damage, kidney damage, damage to your memory, and it's just, and broken relationships.
Yes,
and we'll get into some of that later, but it's not worth it. It really is not worth it.
No, it's not worth that short amount of, if you perform better, if you entertain better, if you study better. It's not worth that short amount of time of that with the long consequences for the rest of your life. It's not, And when you weigh it, it just doesn't. It's like the old scales. When you weigh things, it tilts.
That's right. Tilts bad.
A lot, but a lot higher not to do that. So we're going to take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to get to the meat and potatoes of this. And we touched on the educational side. Now we're going to touch on when it turns to an addiction, what do you do? So don't go away. Welcome back to the Pondering Show here on WKUR 94.9, your country road. I'm in the Don Franklin Chevy Buick GMC studios with Chad's Hope employee, James Allen Bradley, and we talked about what Chad's Hope's done and how it helps people. And we talked about the educational side, especially with our youth, with all this new stuff coming out, and they understand meth's bad, but what about this other stuff? Now we're going to focus on the other side of the spectrum with people who have tried this stuff, and now they find themselves caught in an addiction. Whatever stage they're in, it might be, like we talked about, the denial stage or whatever. At what point, and I know there's no answer to this, but I know you can explain, at what point does recreational drug use turn to an addiction, and at what point do people realize they need help or they need to seek help?
You're going to ask me this question, aren't you, Doug?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Well, it's sort of, like I said, again, I think it's all case by case, and everybody's different. And one thing I would say is, like I told you, by the time you realize you got a problem, it's usually pretty bad.
Yeah.
Because everybody around you has already been telling you, and you got a problem. And so, by the time you realize you got a problem, you better be getting help because you're probably pretty far along because everybody around you is noticing it and seeing it,
Yeah. Exactly. And like we mentioned, what we see a lot, like you mentioned, the people around you is already noticing it. The families and the friends who care a lot about the people. What's some advice for them real quick? Maybe they've tried to get them in places. They've tried these things. What's the advice you have for them? Because that's another side of the spectrum, too, that is really affected,
that one I don't know. That's a good question because I think some people obviously you need to keep a close eye on them. But I was going to say try to be a friend to them, listen to them, just watch close, be really observant. But some people are going to, and I remember just from personally, I remember people saying things to me. Of course, my mom and dad would say things, or mom would say things, and I'd get a bad, you just get a terrible attitude. You don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And most people, I think that's probably the case with most people. But if you've got somebody that's pretty bad in addiction, you definitely wouldn't be doing anybody a favor by, okay, I'll never say nothing to them, and I don't make them mad at me.
Yeah.
So that's not going to that's not going to cut it. But you can't just stay on somebody and have them to where they don't even want to be around you, where you can't have any influence on them.
That's exactly
so it's it's kind of fine line there.
That's good stuff, and it's not well, I guess you could call it a tough love, and to never lose hope. And here I am. I'm sitting here saying that, and I don't have kids and stuff. And I know people out there listening right now going, "Well, you don't understand what in the world you're talking about." I know that's easier said than done. I've saw people that struggle with that, and it's easy to lose hope with that. If you see somebody you love that's struggling with that.
And along that line, I would throw in, like you said, you're talking about the tough love.
Yeah. And
again, every case, every individual, I think is different.
Yeah.
But we see a lot of, and I never saw this till I've been down. Chad's almost 2 years now, and see a lot of enablers and families that enable, and that's definitely not good.
Because and it's not their fault, and we shouldn't look at them as, well, how dare you do that, but they love them,
Exactly, and they think they're doing, he just didn't have nothing to eat, and I just give him $20 more, and the guy ain't eating a week.
Yeah.
Probably went out and bought another pill, or of course, I don't know what you can buy now, $20. But anyway, you just got to be really careful. You don't want to. You just maybe get on like I said, get on Google, do some studying on enabling. I didn't know anything about enabling until like I said, I got down there, and the more I've heard about it and watched and just see, we see it, but. And just I had to be really careful. There's a lot of enabling going on.
I know some people right now that have relatives or children, either one, that's struggling with drug addictions, and when they say that, well, I need something to eat, they'd bring them something to eat. They'd physically bring food, not money.
Right.
I've heard people tell me that.
Yeah.
And that's probably the best. Like I said, Google enabling tips. We may not know them, but I'm sure there's lots of resources out there. There?
But that's good. Yeah, just what you said. Yeah, they say we need gas money, this, that, or go follow them and get them some gas. Yeah. Buy their gas, or if they don't, you think they might not have food, take them some food.
Yeah, and that's the best.
Just handing money is probably not good.
No, unfortunately, and like I said, I know that people are probably getting not upset what we're talking about right now. I know that's easier said.
It would be hard. Yeah,
or it's hard. It is hard. I understand that. I don't know what that's like. I've never experienced that, but it just breaks my heart because I've saw people struggle with that and families and stuff, and they so much love there. There's so much love, and it's so easy to lose hope. And
well, one of our I'll just want to say this and we'll move on. But I actually heard one of our counselors tell a family that he was like, "You love him so much, you're going to you're killing him."
Yeah, that's a great explanation.
So you got to be really really careful.
Yeah, you do, and we touched on this, and here's the next area we're going to talk about. We often hear people who has drug addictions that are struggling. They say that they have it under control. I use it for my recreational use, or to be creative, or be more lively, whatever the case may be. Is it actually possible for anyone to have their drug use under control?
Well, I think I always thought I had mine under control for about 30 years. Yeah, I thought I did. Yeah.
You thought you did, yeah.
No, I don't think you can have. I don't think there's I don't know what's the term, functional alcoholics and whatnot. There's people that I guess function. Yeah. But what degree are you really functioning?
You're right. That's a great way to put that.
What degree are you really functioning?
Yeah.
And that stuff is too powerful. You can't control that. No. You can't control it.
Yeah, and you hear that. Well, I just need this to function. I'm going to taper off, or I'm going to, I don't know what the answer to that is. Like I said, you know a lot more about that than I do, but I guess there's certain plans, and when you go to places like y'all do at Chad's Hope, they can help people with that, can't they? If there is a certain amount that needs to function, or a certain lower drug, I know they talk about that Suboxone or whatever a lot. That gets thrown up in the mix. Some people are for it and against it, but everybody's different, and we have to remember that. We can't group everybody into some group and say, well, this is the answer for everybody. That's not necessarily true. Some people will have to break their addictions in different ways.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true.
And that's true there, too. When we go to this, are some drugs, you hear this argument a lot. I've heard this till I'm blue in the face at college and stuff with people I know. Are some drugs not as addicting or so-called bad drugs as all drugs are?
Well, some, I guess some's obviously not. Some are less addictive, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I guess they are all addictive too, right?
Yeah, and it's like you just said. Yeah, okay. There might be some that's just less addictive. Congratulations, you won that argument. But you're throwing yourself in that pool of danger of being influenced by other things. I don't care what they say. If you want to go to the 20-yard line, well, once you get to the 20-yard line, it'd be a lot easier to get to the 40-yard line. It's some analogy like that, I guess, but you're throwing yourself in that danger, if you want to use the argument that one's less addictive than the other one.
Yeah, and that's a cop out that most addicts, we all use that. I used it. I told the guys there the first time I got up and gave an interim report, and a couple of them was about to get me, but I was like, I didn't think I was that bad. I said I didn't, I wasn't using heroin, and so in my mind I was just taking Xanax, for the most part, but it's like, so in my mind I justified taking a handful of Xanax because, my prescription called for 2 or 3, and I was taking 15 or 20 or more.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, the doctor doesn't really understand me and doesn't know how bad I am. And I've took these so long, and I need more than they're giving me. And they just don't. So, it's that's the whole thing of addiction. The stuff's powerful, and it deceives you, and it blinds you, and it controls
you. And that's a great way to put it. And like you just said, I'm taking pain pills, not meth, or I'm taking Adderall, not meth. And it's that justification. Like you just said. And we're going to move to this. And I know we talked about this before we come on. This is very personal to both of us, but odds are somebody out there right now listening is struggling with the drug addiction, and they want help. They want help, and they try to do it on their own. They might have tried some other places, and it's not worked. What do you want to say to them? I mean, is there really hope for them to return to the lives that they had before they were addicted, no matter what drugs they were using or how long they were using them for?
I guess I would answer that by saying, again, I can only, I haven't done a lot of research and studied. I've only been on this side of it for whatever, it's been about 2 years now, almost 2 years. But I know that I tried, like I told you, it started with just a couple of drinks, back when I was 16 years old, just a couple of drinks, trying to fit in, trying to be cool. Anyway, that it wasn't long till, well, let's just smoke a little, and and I'll get to your question there, but
no
just one little joint won't hurt, just one little one.
Yep.
And it wasn't a month or two later, just a couple little pills won't hurt.
Yeah.
Well, 30 years later, it's like all kinds of damage. But can you get help? You can, and I tried all through those years. Like I said, there's times you slow down a little bit. You think, well, I'm gonna quit. Like I told my dad. He said, I never heard of an alcoholic that wasn't quitting yet. I was always quitting. Well, I'm going to quit. I'm going to straighten up. But you can't do it. I don't think you can do it. It's too powerful.
Yeah.
And so that I went to Chad's Hope, and like I said, we're a Christian discipleship, and the whole, and it almost sounds, I guess, too simple. But our whole thing is, like I said, we're trying to fill a void.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, that's to me that seems to be the case. And
yes.
The only thing that's worked for me is, I just totally gave my life to the Lord, started reading my Bible, started praying, getting to know the Lord, not just go to church on Sunday morning and Wednesday and then never open my Bible or never pray, but actually live for the Lord. And I don't know. All I know is it's worked for me. And I saw some other guys go through our program that it's worked for.
That's great.
And so I don't know, like you said, that can you go back? Can you get back to where you were before you started? Well, how much damage have you done to your body? Like you said, there's consequences, and there's consequences. And not just there's a lot of consequences that comes with addiction. So, but there is hope, that's for sure. Not only have I not had anything in about 2 years, next month, actually it's been over 2 years since I've had anything except the pills, and the pills will be 2 years next month.
That's amazing.
And by the grace of the Lord, I haven't even had a craving, not one physical, and that's the truth. No, most people don't believe that, but I haven't had one physical craving.
Great.
And it's like I get asked to come do stuff like this with you. I was at a place last night, and it's been awesome. So there's definitely hope, and that's why I do this. I'm not comfortable talking to people, radio and TV and all that, and getting up in front of groups. But if it can give somebody some hope, that's what I want to do. And there's definitely hope.
That's
there
right.
is.
And you can be used for that. I can stand there and talk to somebody that I'm blue in the face, but when people's experience what people are experiencing, that you can relate to them more. You can relate. I mean, people won't listen to nothing I'd say, because I've never been there.
I do, Doug. I'll listen to you.
Oh, thank you.
Everything you say. I'm sorry. You're just being serious. Go ahead.
No, it ain't no. But yeah, and that's true because I know. Well, it's like depression, or people that gets depressed over certain things. Whether it's a loss of a father or a loss of a mother. If you lose a father, you want to go talk to somebody else that's lost a father, because you talk about relating, that relates. And you can do that job with people who are struggling and be that shining light for people that there is really hope. It's not just some fictional storytelling thing that's impossible to reach. There's hope for them.
No, and I want to just throw in real quick, I want to say, too, I don't know how much time we've got.
Oh, we got time.
Got plenty of time. But, just... And I know depression's really, it's a touchy subject, but I know there's probably some people listening that's good friends of mine that know I struggled with depression the last 4 or 5 years before going to Chad's. And, I struggled with it really bad. The last 2 years, and I haven't had any depression whatsoever.
Amazing. Because, and I have to admit, too, man, I've struggled with depression a lot, too. And it comes on and off, and everybody's different. Not everybody's the same. You can't. I know these books and stuff, they'll try to say, well, here's what the problem. the same thing don't work for everybody, and people struggle with all kinds of different things. And depression is one of those issues. Depression is also one of the reasons why some people started on drugs, abusing drugs, and there's all kinds of issues, whether it be a trucker that's trying to stay awake at night, or a musician that's trying to be more lively, or somebody that's depressed. It's not necessarily a bunch of kids in a group and they're doing peer pressure. People get addicted to drugs for all kinds of different reasons, and people can seek help in all kinds of different reasons too, because everybody's different, and it's like you explained there. We're also going to touch on this, and because I have heard this argument a lot. And a lot this past month or two, and I hear the general public, they'll say, we're losing the battle on drugs, or it's like it's a battle and we're waging a war or something. And I don't even think we should even use that term anymore. I don't even think we should look at it as a battle against drugs or something. And it's like we were talking about before. If you save one person's life, if one person breaks their addiction, that's worth it. You won a battle, in my opinion, or war, whatever you want to call it. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, I think that's really good. But I would want to encourage people, and of course I try to do that on Facebook. I know people are so busy. We live in a fast-paced, go world. But we need to look around and take the time to, like I said, not just, the out of sight, out of mind. Well, that's, my kids are not on drugs, so, I really don't. That's really not my problem.
You're right.
But that's your neighbor's kids, and that's your
right.
that, and it very well can be. It may be your kid the next day or next year.
Yes. Yeah.
And so just be educated about it. Read on. Like I said, everything's readily available on Google, and just do some research, talk to some people, and just try to do what you can. Like I said, if it's just one person, if we save, if we help one person, that's one person that we didn't lose to drugs,
Exactly. And that one person's priceless.
That's right.
No matter what, And before we end real quick, I'll give you a chance to say any final advice you have for people struggling with drug addiction, or anything else you want to say real quick.
How long's real quick?
Well, I shouldn't say real quick. No, you got 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I was just messing with you. I'm buying time because I don't know what I'm going to say.
That real quick's a radio word I use too much. I need to quit using that. Yeah.
You're fine. No, I just, of course, I thank you guys for having us down here, and I appreciate what Josh is doing. I think this is a good thing for the community, and encourage you guys to tell whoever's listening out there to just tell other folks about the radio station here. I think Doug's doing a good job.
Well, thank you.
It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and he didn't pay me for this, guys. He wants to help people and has a heart to help people. So Doug's a good guy, and I just and this isn't answering your question, but I do think whoever is listening, all the guys that have supported me, I just want to thank you guys again.
Yeah.
And I just want to help here in our community and help however I can.
Yes.
And as I did mention to Doug earlier, we do Celebrate Recovery.
Yes.
Tuesday nights up at Northside at 6:30, and anybody, it's about hurts, habits, and hang-ups. And like I said, down at the Broadhead Fairgrounds, that pretty much covers everybody.
Yes, that's
everybody.
All of us.
And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be heroin. And but we can come there. It's kind of like a big support group, and just come there, hang out, and we sing a few songs and have some food and fellowship and some accountability, and it's a good thing. And
that's right.
So I'd encourage everybody to come up and help out with that. Just come join us Tuesday nights at 6:30 for that.
And you mentioned that those three things: the hurts, habits, and hang-ups. That hits all of us. I mean, and we all need support. I mean, come on. I'm sure there's somebody out there to say I don't need no help. They really do. They just don't realize it yet, probably. But we all need each other's support. That's part of life.
That's right.
And that's a great program. And I think that program was created, I forget who created it, but it was one of those, somebody famous, but it's spread worldwide. And like each, churches and even schools and all kinds of people have these programs like that now. That's a great thing to have. And I also want to thank you, real quick before we quit, everybody out here in this community in Rockcastle County, your name pops up, and you really are like a shining light, a beacon of hope, and people look to you for that. And your heart of wanting to help people, that's what matters. And you have an influence on people we probably don't even realize right now. There's probably somebody listening right now that you have that influence on, that they might seek you out right after this, but you're just the job you're doing, people are knowing to come to you for that help. And I just want to thank you, and I hope, and I don't hope, I know you'll continue doing that. And just want to thank you for doing that too.
Yeah, thanks, Doug. I appreciate it.
And, well, it looks like we're out of time. I want to once again thanks James Allen Bradley for coming into the studio and being on the show with us. And I also want to thank you for listening. And be sure to tune back into the Pondering Show next Saturday morning at 11. Have a great weekend.